It's been a while since we took delivery of our boat, and in that time, Just Catamarans and others have been on and off the boat, constantly working through a long list of aftermarket changes that we needed. We took a week and a half break in the middle of all that to go do a shakedown sail and get comfortable with the boat. But we're back now, and we're finally wrapping things up, and it looks like we are done.
'Cause even in the madness, there is peace, drowning out the voices all around me. Through all of this chaos, you are writing a symphony, a symphony. Oh.
All right, we're done and ready to set out into the Caribbean. So I figured I'd cover all the changes that we've made to the boat since we took ownership of it 50 days ago. Some of the things were necessary, some of them were just nice to have. So let's go take a look. I'm going to break this up into 4 different sections. All things electric, comms and entertainment, general boat changes, and running rigging changes. So let's start with the electric stuff. When you see the back of the boat, the first thing you see is this solar arch. This holds 4 375 watt panels to collect a combined 1500 watts of power. The solar panels feed into this charge controller, which feeds into our inverter charger. This boring box is pretty amazing. It manages power for the boat, and you can see what is going where at all times. Turn on the generator, this thing figures it out and switches over. Plug into shore power, it figures it out. You can do stupid things to the control panel and it will just figure it out. Now I would show you our lithium batteries, but they're not here. And they won't be here for about a month, so we'll have to come back for them. In the interim, we still have a decent bank of AGM batteries, which should be just fine for what we're trying to do. In theory, with the lithium batteries, we should be able to use the air conditioner sparingly. To make this happen, we added soft starts to the 2 AC units. These level out the massive current draw that ACs do when the compressors kick on. We'll see how well this works once we get our batteries. Last on our electrical list was to do some work with some of the plugs. We added a plug outdoors so we can have power in the cockpit if needed. And we moved this plug onto its own circuit so we can run several things in the kitchen at once. We also added a plug in the back of this nav station cabinet, which leads me to the next section, comms and entertainment. I'm working while we go on this adventure, so I needed to make sure that I had access to the internet in most places where we had cell coverage. I got us a Pepwave Max HD1 dome with SIM injector. It's kind of like sticking a cell phone up at the top of the mast and making it a hotspot. It's a little more complicated than that, but you get the idea. That LTE modem runs down the mast and into this cabinet at the nav station and connects into the network that we have on the boat. This is where we put that other plug so we can keep the clutter hidden. I also have a Plex server sitting inside of here. Plex is a media server. I can put movies and TV shows on it and then stream it directly to the TV or devices without the need for the internet. We have a mountain of movies and TV shows that should keep us entertained for about 15 years. Since we have a network, we use that for all of our music. We didn't opt for the Fusion entertainment system, which ran about $5,000 from the factory. Instead, we went with Sonos. We use a couple of Sonos Move speakers. They're $400. They're battery powered so you can pick them up and move them wherever you want. And if you're not on the Wi-Fi network, you can use Bluetooth as an alternative. In addition to the speakers, we bought a Sonos port. Now, a Sonos port allows you to have a line-in source to your Sonos system. So we're able to take that port, connect an XM radio to it. That way, if we get bored with all the content that we have on our devices, we can still listen to XM radio wherever we are. So far, this has worked really well for music, and I'm pretty happy with the results. It cost us about $1,200 for all of the equipment, which is a lot better than $5,000. And we can change it out and add to it as we go along. One other important piece of communication gear that we added to the boat was an Iridium Go. This is a satellite device that gives us small bits of bandwidth no matter where we are in the world. We need weather data every day. It's pretty critical to our planning and our safety. You can use the Go to download wind and weather data, so you're never in the dark about what is coming with the weather. As a side benefit, it also reports your location to a tracking site so your friends and family can see where you are. You can even make small blog posts with pictures. The link to our tracker is in the description below. Follow along as we get going into the Caribbean. One other really important piece of safety gear is this. This is an emergency beacon. If we ever get in a situation where we need to alert search and rescue folks about our location, we use this. It tells the satellite network that we're in trouble and the authorities are contacted that are closest to our location. I hope we never have to use it, but it's good to have one of these aboard. All right, let's move on to just the general boat changes. The boat comes with the life raft located in this locker here, which is fine, but it's also a place where you're putting on gear, and that would be a great place to store things. Also, it's tight in here. If you're supposed to be yanking out this heavy thing and you've got your dinghy and all this stuff in the way, it just didn't seem like the most ideal place to put it. Instead, we relocated the life raft to an area just behind the helm. This gives us easy access to deploy it quickly with no obstructions between it and the water. All right, let's talk about anchors. The boat came with an anchor, and for some stupid reason, I upgraded ours. But I didn't upgrade the size. I got a stainless steel one, which is really dumb because the anchor's underneath the bridge deck. You never see it. So I decided to upgrade the anchor on my own and get something bigger, and at the same time upgrade the swivel on it. So the swivel attaches to the shank of the anchor, and this is used to help the chain unwind itself when you're lifting it, so the anchor can rotate freely on the end of the chain. The problem with this particular swivel is it only works about half the time. It's kind of like a USB cord where you try to plug it in and it always is the wrong way. It's kind of like that with this. And if the anchor's facing the wrong way, you can't get it up into the cradle, and it's a pain in the butt when you're anchoring. So we replaced all of this. We got a Rocna 77 and a Mantus S2 swivel. With this combination, we should be able to sleep really well at night, knowing that we have a solid anchor and a great swivel on the end of it. One other thing that we did was we got rid of the silly hook and shackle system that they had on here and just put a soft shackle on the end of it, which makes putting the anchor onto the bridle a lot easier and faster. I'd highly recommend doing this. When we got the solar arch, Laurent with Just Cats mentioned that somebody had put a shower on one of the support poles. So we decided, yeah, we should probably do that as well. And it turned out awesome. I don't know why, but Leopard doesn't ship these boats with rub rails. Rub rails are pretty critical for protecting your boat as you're docking. You are going to rub. You are going to have low speed bumps. I don't care how good you are at docking, it is going to happen. So get these. Since we're going to be sailing full time and often in remote places, a good water supply is pretty critical. We got a Spectra 400 12 volt water maker. It makes 17 gallons of fresh water per hour out of seawater. When cruising, a person typically uses between 10 and 20 gallons of water a day. So ideally, this will be sufficient for what we plan to do. We got a 4-cabin version of this boat because we have 800 children. When we did that, they didn't offer a washer-dryer option on the 4-cabin model, so we had to put one in ourselves. We ended up putting the washer-dryer down at the bottom of the stairs going down into the port hole. We sacrificed the port-forward toilet to make room for this. In addition to getting a washer and dryer, we got yet more storage space for some larger appliances like an ice machine and a mixer. The beds on here are comfortable, but we wanted a little bit more. You can get full-on custom mattresses made, but these range from $3,000 to $5,000. We opted for a compromise and got a topper made for less than $1,000. I've slept on it for a couple of days and it makes a big difference. Lastly, we added some things to give us a little more access to storage space. We added a shelf over the companionway on the port side, and we added a door to access the storage under the port side salon seat. This will make a great pantry. The engine rooms have a lot of space, and towards the aft, there's some wasted space there. So we had Just Cats add partitions on each side so we can store things like oil and coolant down there. Now the last place we did some upgrades was with the running rigging. What the boat comes with is fine, but we wanted something with a little less flex and a little bit more durability. We ended up replacing the main sheet, the main halyard, both jib sheets, and both reefing lines with Dyneema core line. This should give us a lot more strength and a lot less flex in the line. We also added a top third downhaul because dropping the sails seemed to get stuck a bit on the way down. We can lube the cars, but it's nice to have this here to make pulling the main down easier. We have a code 0 sail for downwind sailing, and we ran the furler up to the helm to make it easier to manage the sail. And that's about it with the running rigging. We bought some extra cars and that kind of stuff for supplies in case we run into problems down the road. But that's really all we had to do with that. All right, well, that covers pretty much everything we've done to the boat up to this point. Amazingly, we have a list of yet more things to do, but we've put that onto the list of next year problems. We've got to stop here. We've got to get out there and sail and use the boat to understand whether there are any new things we need. We'll look at the list in a year and see if maybe those things are necessary. But right now, it's more important for us to get out there and start sailing. We're going to get off the dock next week and head to the Bahamas. Weather permitting, we'll be making the crossing of the Gulf Stream and ending up in Bimini. So that's it. If you want to follow along with what we're doing real time, again, there's a link in the description to our Iridium Go path, and you can look at it there. You can also follow us on Instagram. It would really bug William if we ended up with more followers than he has. Also, if you have questions, put them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next week.